Hello, I'm Shartae Robinson, Associate State Director for AARP Chicago for Advocacy and Outreach. I am delighted to welcome you to our special event today that's just not about financial wisdom, but about empowering you for a resilient financial future. Today, as we embark upon planning a post-holiday reboot, our expert panel will guide you through innovative strategies and practical tips. We understand the unique challenges faced by seniors, especially after the holiday season. But it's not just about insights, it's about action. Your voice matters, and that's why I want you to join AARP's fight to protect Social Security. It's your hard-earned money, and we need your commitment to ensure it's safeguarded for years ahead. Take a moment during the show to scan the QR code on your screen and make your pledge to protect Social Security. Your commitment today will contribute to a secure financial future for you and generations to come. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and we hope that you enjoy the program. Don't forget, scan the QR code so you can join AARP.org in the fight of protecting Social Security. Thank you. Hello, I'm Shartae Robinson, Associate State Director for AARP Chicago. Today we're speaking with Clive Finn, who's with CAP Risk Consulting, and Nisi Cotton, who's with Financial Literacy Campaign. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. In this segment, we'll be talking about reflecting on holiday spending. So I just have a few questions for you all to answer just based on your background and your experience. So one of the questions is, what are the common pitfalls that some may experience during the holiday season?
Typically, it's overspending. We have a budget, and we always just blow up the budget. Oftentimes, during the holiday, we see things that we want, and then we have a plan, and then the plan goes out the door. So the thing that, the pitfall to avoid is to set a budget, set a limit, and stick to it as much as possible.
Sure, thank you.
Can I just add to that?
Sure.
In addition to that, write down your expenses. Write those down, everything that you're spending on, write that down. If you're using the credit cards, write down what you spent so that you can go back and then start to pay that off.
Thank you. So are there any stories of overcoming holiday-related expenses or challenges? Nisi?
I would say, again, I think Clive had mentioned earlier about paying off the minimum debt and then applying that payment to the next largest balance. I would think that would be a way to help people to start to pay that off, to start to reset their financial goals.
Thank you. Clive?
The story that I would say, talk about is when you start off the year and you have, like say you have a big family and you want to buy Christmas gifts and spend for the holiday, is to set another fund up, whether through a credit union or through your bank, and just put a certain amount away for a month. And so by the time you get around to November, you'll have a nice little cash stored away so that you can know what to spend on gifts for your family and friends, so you don't overspend during that time.
Sure, that's great advice. And then finally, any words of reflection that you can share with the audience so that we can set the year off on a positive where our financial resilience is concerned?
Well, first, again,
don't fight over who answers first.
Right.
First, again, set a budget. Start out the year. Look at your expenses from last year and say, I won't do that again. And then you start at the top again. So, again, set up a fund for the holiday spending. If you have a trip you want to take, set up a fund for a trip, for your vacations, stuff like that. And always pay yourself first. You are the most important asset in your life. If you're not good for yourself, you can't be good for anybody else. So again, set up a budget for the year and stick to the budget and make sure that nobody tries to deviate you from your budget and from the pitfalls of overspending.
Sure.
Yes. And that goes back to my earlier statement about paying yourself first. Set aside that 1 hour of your pay into an account in a different institution.
Right.
That way it's not readily accessible
Yeah.
to you and you can't go and spend it.
Sure.
So write down everything and then pay yourself first, definitely.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like there's still an opportunity to recover from, right? Taking the
Yes.
advice that you two have shared really has been impactful for our community and our members. So thank you
Yes.
all for joining us.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Thank you for having me.
And up next, we'll be joined by Toya Hemingway, who is the executive committee member for AARP Illinois. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is Toya Hemingway, and this is Financial Planning, a post-holiday reboot sponsored by AARP Chicago. I will be your host for the remainder of the program. This segment is Breaking the Cycle, Innovative Financial Approaches. Our guest for this segment is Kimberly Thomas. Kimberly is a wealth accumulation and conservation specialist at Chemco International. Kimberly creates financial strategies to assist her clients with creating emergency funds, establish and monitor financial goals, retirement planning, tax-free retirement strategies. Thank you, Kimberly.
Thank you.
I am so looking forward to this because right after the holidays, you always need some help trying to figure out A, how to pay those bills, and B, what you can do better next time. So you're here to help us.
Yes, that
Thank
is
you.
true. For the most part, we spend about $662 on average during the holiday season. And for the most part, the average American has about $1,500 discretionary income to spend. So that's not that bad. And usually it's about 16 people on your holiday list, if you don't go ballistic like some people. So yes, this is going to be a fun conversation. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. So I know that people spent less during COVID, but I heard that the number of dollars actually went up last year.
It did.
Okay.
It did. It's interesting that it went up because more people are using credit and versus cash. So they had a lot of cash, an influx of cash during COVID, but now that cash is gone.
Right.
So now people are using a lot of credit and they have to watch where they're swiping their card. That's serious business. You can really get yourself into some financial harm if you don't watch where you're swiping your card.
So tell us some strategies for dealing with that.
Well, I can tell you this.
Okay.
One of my business mentors, and he's pretty much the richest man that I know, he says spend your money first on paper. Plan it out.
Okay.
Plan it out. So if you're going to do some holiday shopping, or either it just may be shopping period, then just put it all on paper, plan it out. Then also, if you can't say heck yes to what it is that you're going to buy, don't buy it. Do not buy it.
Be enthusiastic.
Yes, if you like that is beautiful, that pink scarf you have on. And so I'm sure when you bought it, you said, oh yes, I need that scarf. So then if you can't feel enthusiastic about the scarf or whatever else it is that you're buying, then please don't buy it. Because you can get yourself into a situation with that credit card or either using cash that you really shouldn't spend.
Okay, so what happens when you've already made the mistake of getting too deep in debt? What do you suggest?
That's a really good question. Matter of fact, I had to make a commitment to myself. In 2023, my commitment was get debt free in 2023. And so when I went into whatever store it was for the holiday or either post-holiday, I had to make sure that I kept my commitment to myself in the forefront of my mind. And then now we're in 2024. So my commitment to myself is I want more financially in 2024 because I didn't get totally debt free in 2023.
Okay.
Did I mention I have 3 crumb snatchers and they're constantly asking me for something? So I said, you're not going to keep me in this situation, but I do have to help as a mom. We all do if we're parents.
Right.
But in 2024, I'm committed to more financially in 2024. So I have to just make sure that before I swipe my card, I remember my commitment to myself because I am the most important person in my life.
Oh, I have so many questions for you, Kim. But let's start with that credit card debt. So you have the debt, and they tell you you only have a minimum amount to pay. What do you recommend people do to get rid of that debt?
Well, if you want to stay in debt for 20, 25, 30 years, then just continue to pay that minimum amount of $25 that they ask. But if you want to make your FICO increase, or if you want to be committed to getting debt free, then that minimum payment will not do it. So please, if that's what someone is doing, they need to do a quick calculation to find out how much more they can do a payment out of their discretionary income to get out of debt. And if you want to be like me and get debt free, then if you want to do it in 12 months, then let's figure that out on what you can do in a 12-month time frame to make sure that credit card is paid off.
Going back to the paper.
Going back to the paper.
Right.
And that's another way that I make sure that I stick to my program is I have a little sticky note in my purse when I do go to whatever grocery store or whatever store it is that I'm shopping. And I have my list on my sticky note to remind myself, this is what I came into this store for. Do not deviate.
Good idea. But talking about those gifts for a moment, do you have some alternatives to spending all your money?
I do. Yeah, because nobody wants to go broke. I've been broke before. That's not fun.
Okay. I think we've all been there.
It's no fun being broke.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do have some alternative things. A couple things that my mom and I do instead of buying material things, we like experiences.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so every January we go for a family outing. So we just came back from a trip from Mexico, and we took her girlfriends. We call ourselves the do whatever you like girls.
Okay.
So my mom's 78. Her girls that we went with are 81,
Wow.
84, and I'm 51, and my cousin is 54. So we like to do whatever we like. Let it be eat all the chips.
Okay. It's holiday.
It's holiday,
Yeah.
so whatever it is. And so we just make memories. So that's one thing that we do. And then another thing, what you can do instead of just giving trendy shirts and trendy shoes, is give a gift of life. Like a lot of people don't necessarily know how important life insurance is. But make sure that you have some of that, because there's so many situations where people don't have enough. And there are so many different programs that people can get into now that don't necessarily just cover if you pass away. It covers if you live, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to live every day, and we're going to make every day our best day.
So Kimberly, you had some great ideas about gifts and alternative gifts. Let's talk about how to fund those ideas. What do you suggest?
Well, I would suggest to make sure that you look at your different assets that you have, because some people do have different qualified assets that they can take required minimum distributions from, and then that way they can fund the gifts. For example, a qualified plan would be an IRA. Everybody knows about those things. So if you have an IRA and you're 72 and a half or older, you have to take a RMD, which is a required minimum distribution. That takes place every year. You must take the RMD out every year out of your IRA, or either you have a penalty that you pay for, and usually that's about between 25 and 50%. So I just wanted to give you the background music on it. So since you have to take the money out every year, why not pay for the annual trip that you and your family can do and create memories and create experiences? These are things that we do. Also, a lot of families they own timeshares.
Okay.
So that's something that we do as well, since we have several. So we use our timeshare points, or either our timeshare, they go by different points. So we can use that to create memories. Let it be, if someone graduates, you can take them on a graduation trip to honor them, or either just make some memories with your family. So instead of buying that trendy shirt or those trendy shoes, think about the assets that you currently have. Think about how you could possibly spend the assets while you're living, because we're making the best days for ourselves while we're living now.
Okay, Kimberly, great ideas. And I know you share this information with people via social media. So how can people get in touch with you?
You can reach me at Kimberly Thomas on LinkedIn, or Kimco International on LinkedIn, or either call 312-792-4216, or either by email kim@kimcointernational.com.
Thanks, Kimberly. Great ideas, and thank you so much for sharing that information. I'm sure everyone will get a chance to go to your website and get more ideas from you. We're going to be talking next about smart budgeting and planning, and we're so looking forward to having that conversation. Have a cup of coffee while you wait. Welcome back, everyone. This is Toya Hemingway, and this is Financial Planning, a post-holiday reboot sponsored by AARP Chicago. This part of the program is on smart budgeting and planning, and we are joined by Clive Finn. Clive has been in the insurance and financial industry, working for several financial institutions, insurance companies, and large brokerage firms. Clive currently serves in a field-facing role with Farmers Insurance, responsible for training and development of new and existing clients, agents, and helps them with new innovative technologies for marketing and client data storage. Quite a bit of information there, Clive.
Thank you.
I'd love to get more information about what you do and how you help your clients.
Well, I am managing broker for a small firm called Cap Risk Consultants.
Okay.
And in that, just basically helping small clients, personal clients, getting their life together, if you will, especially couples that are starting out new, mid-year couples, and then couples that are looking to retire. So my plan is to help educate as many of our seniors, of our middle-aged, those that are approaching retirement, and make them be able to have the financial wherewithal to retire comfortably.
Oh, sounds great.
Yeah.
You know, you said couples a few times. You work primarily with...
Not just couples, but a lot of times that I kind of fell into that niche
Okay.
of couples reaching out to me. But I do a lot of singles, and I do a lot of widowers as well as widows who may have come into some financial windfalls, unfortunately, and try to help them to store their money in a safe space where it can grow for them when they're getting ready to retire, so they can have some disposable income.
Okay, and what are some of the strategies that you tend to talk to people about first?
Well, typically, if they do have some type of life insurance payout, you know, it is tax-free. And so there are some vehicles out there that you can provide some tax-free investments for them to maybe put money aside so they can maybe pass it on as an inheritance, or restart their life in a different capacity, paying off their bills, strategizing to get them to be more comfortable in saving and putting that money to good use for future use, either for kids, for financial, for their grandkids, things of that nature.
Okay. By the time people come to you, they've thought about this a little bit. How do you get people to think about it that have not gotten to the point where they're ready to speak to a professional?
Well, a lot of times when people do come to me that are not prepared or educated, they finally realize I'm at this point in my life where, oh my God, I need to do something, because in 20 years I'm going to retire and I don't have anything to show for it. And so we come up with strategies. We try to find where the money is. You know, everybody says they're living, you know, they don't have the money to save. And so we come up with strategies to help them to incorporate some type of saving strategy, whether it's starting out with an emergency fund, just to start out with that part and to grow and to build on top of that.
Okay, because there are people that find themselves in those emergency situations with no money
Absolutely.
and they haven't planned for it.
Absolutely.
So start small.
Right. So a lot of times they want to talk about how do we save for emergency fund, you know, and it's all based on what your income is. Some people want to start with $1,000. You know, start small. You know, let's hit $500 first.
Okay.
And once you get to that $500 spot, maybe we can go to $1,000. But my strategy and my parents' strategy when I was younger, they always talk about pay yourself first. You know, you are your most valuable asset. So from that standpoint, pay yourself first. So before you pay any other bills, make sure you pay yourself first before you start paying out everybody else.
So what is a good amount to start with?
As I mentioned before, probably like $500. So it could be $20 a week. You know, it could be $40 based on your income. You know, everybody can't start the same point of reference. So a lot of times you have to start small and then pay down your debt. And the more debt you pay down, the more you're able to increase your savings. So you have that emergency fund where if your car breaks down, you can go buy that tire, you can go get that battery. But a lot of times you don't want to put it on credit card. You know, you want to pay cash, especially when you're getting older. You want to pay down those debts. You want to don't want to have a lot of credit card debt going into your retirement age.
Excellent. Because you hear about people that can't afford that $400 emergency.
Absolutely.
So this is preparing them for that.
Absolutely, yes.
That's smart thinking. What are good money priorities for saving and for debt reduction?
Again, is paying down your credit card debt. You know,
Oh.
a lot of debt is accumulated either through student loans and credit card debt. The average 50-year-old has about 6 credit cards, and the average credit card debt is about $40,000.
Wow, really?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, whether it's American Express, whether it's a Visa, MasterCard, Discover, those debt tend to have increase in the average annual rate is probably about 29%. So think about you paying your minimum and then a 29% percentage rate on top of that. That accumulates real fast. You never want to pay the minimum because you're still accumulating debt on top of that, and it's going to take a lot longer for your credit score to increase when you're just paying down the minimum.
But how do you do that when paychecks are not increasing as fast as the bills are? So how do you set aside that money knowing that you've got all these bills?
Again, you know, I revert back to if you do have the credit card debt, if you have a smaller credit card, say it's $500, pay that off first.
Okay.
You know, pay off the smaller ones and then incrementally start paying off the other ones. So after you pay off that $500 credit card debt, if you have another one that's $1,500, start paying towards that one. And then that money that you paid for that $500, you can put that on top of what you're paying for the other one and slowly reduce your debt in that way. You have to have a plan. The plan is to reduce your debt. And, you know, you're never going to be debt free because we all have mortgages, we all may have car loans and stuff like that. But in essence, when you pay down those smaller nuisance bills, as I call them, the better off you have to have emergency cash savings abound for you to save for a rainy day.
So you do believe in prioritizing debt?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, and are you basing that on dollar amount or interest amounts, or what's the best strategy?
I look at the dollar amount
Okay.
from a dollar amount standpoint. You know,
Okay.
as I mentioned before, you pay down your smaller ones,
Okay.
and then as they increase, the larger debts, you start applying what you paid off on the smaller ones to the larger ones, and that will help you. So if you have a minimum payment of $50, it's going to say your minimum payment is $50, but the stated amount might be $75. The $75 is what the interest charge might be on top of the minimum. So you pay the stated amount first before you start paying the minimum. And that's important to keep you from having that interest charge every year or in a monthly accumulate.
I see, okay. So you've got some strategies. You've got the individuals who are thinking about making the payments and bringing their debt down, and they've actually started. What do you recommend that they invest in?
Every client of mine it's like a thumbprint. Everybody doesn't have the same thumbprint, so I can't use the same strategy for client A as I can for client B. So I have to know what their risk tolerance is,
Okay.
what their risk portfolio is, and what they're available to invest in. You know, I always talk about if you are on a job and they offer a 401k plan, make sure you invest in it from day one. A lot of companies match and sometimes overmatch what you're contributing. So if you're contributing 4% of your paycheck, they might match 4% or above, depending on the years of service. So that's a great tool to have in your toolkit. Is your 401k plan. Invest in that immediately when you start on the job. The average 30-year-old who start investing in a 401k plan, by the time they're 60 years old, they can actually be a millionaire when they walk out the door.
Wow. It's always great to hear that if you have a strategy, it might work for you.
Yes.
So, you've got some great ideas. How can people talk to you more to get more details about this?
My phone number is 312-246-2131. I'm a small boutique that helps clients, help them grow incrementally and help them plan for retirement in their mid to later years in life.
Okay. Thank you so much. Really appreciated all of the advice.
Thank you.
Up next is Investment and Savings Innovations. We will be right back. Hello, everyone. This is Toya Hemingway. I am with AARP Chicago, and this is Financial Planning, a Post-Holiday Reboot, sponsored by AARP Chicago. Our guest for this segment is Nisi Cotton. Nisi is a financial professional with over 20 years of experience. Nisi is currently working on a financial literacy campaign to financially educate 30 million families by 2030. Very impressive. Yes. Tell me about it.
The campaign, as you said, is a national campaign to financially educate 30 million families by the year 2030. It's not something that I'm doing alone, of course, but we have complimentary workshops that we do across the U.S. and Canada. So the workshops, there are 6 workshops that we offer virtually in churches, in organizations. So we just want to make sure that people understand how to retire, the best ways to put their kids in college, estate planning. We want to educate people so that they know how to go about doing these things for themselves.
Okay, to set goals.
Yes.
Okay. So you believe spending is a habit.
Yes.
But it's savings.
Correct.
Okay. When should someone start saving?
Actually, I believe that you should start saving as early as possible. Okay. But keeping in mind that it's never too late to start saving, but the earlier the better. And as far as how much to save, first we have to start with our mindset, basically. We have to change the way we think about saving. Mm-hmm. And I always say, if you could start saving the first hour of your paycheck, let's think about that. If you save that first hour of your paycheck in an account, and preferably in a different institution, okay, not the same financial institution that you're saving in, that would be better. And I'll give you an example. If you save the first hour of your paycheck every day, let's say it's $10 an hour you're making or $20 an hour. If you save $10 a day for 30 years in an 8% tax advantage account, you have about almost $450,000 saved at the end of that time.
That's a lot.
And if you could double that, $20 a day, that's about $895,000 in 30 years.
That's a lot of money.
Yes.
How can people avoid touching those funds?
As I was saying, putting it in a different account. Put it in a different account with a different financial institution. Okay. So if you have your account with one financial institution, put it in a separate institution, because that way it's not as accessible to you. Because we'll go and we'll spend it. So if
Right.
it's in a different account at a different institution, preferably like an online institution,
Okay.
it's a little bit harder to get to. And you'll think about it. Do I really need this money right now? Because it's going to take a couple days to transfer it to your primary account.
That's a smart idea.
Yes.
As part of your National Financial Literacy Campaign, you believe in teaching how money works. And can you talk about that a bit?
Sure. Learning how money works, or teaching people how money works, first, it's an understanding compound interest.
Okay.
We have to understand compound interest, right? One of the most important concepts of finance is the rule of 72. And a lot of people have never heard of the rule of 72. I hadn't heard about it in school. I didn't learn about it until I got into the industry. So the rule of 72 is basically a way for you to calculate how how the interest will affect your rate of your money when you're saving it. So for an example, if you're earning 1% on your money, right, and you divide 72 by 1, how long is your money going to double? That number tells you how long it's going to take for your money to double. So it's basically 72 years. How many 72 years do you have, Toya?
Not very many.
Okay.
I wish I could say more, but no.
Right. So if you're getting 8% on your money, though, it's going to double every 9 years.
I see.
So now you have a few more 9 years than you would have 72, right?
So you're looking for that number that's going to get closer to.
Right. That can help you get to
Number
your
of
goal
years.
quicker, right?
Okay.
But on the flip side, if you think about, you're getting 1% on your money, you're earning 1% on your money. But what about your credit card debt? If you're being charged, let's say 18% on your credit cards, right? Now your debt is gonna double every 4 years. So it's very important to know how money works, so that you can get ahead instead of always feeling like we're behind.
Okay. So with that thought in mind, are you suggesting that people should pay off their debt as opposed to save?
No, it's something that we should actually be doing at the same time.
Okay.
Simultaneously. Save a little bit, but still pay off your debt. And with that debt, if you're only paying the minimum, then that really escalates that time for you as far as it doubling.
Absolutely. I love the rule of 72, and I really like you informing people about that.
Yes.
So what is a personal financial strategy, and what's the best way for someone to get started?
A personal financial strategy is basically a data gathering tool that's used to take a holistic approach on how to help someone financially plan out their future. So in that form, you're basically looking at a person's concerns. What are your concerns? Is it planning for retirement? Is it college planning for your child? Is it proper life insurance protection? What are your concerns? And then it also looks at, what are your goals? What are your short-term goals? What are your mid-term, long-term goals? What are you trying to reach? What are you trying to accomplish? And then it also looks at how much income is coming in for the household versus how much is going out. So what are your monthly expenses? Is it mortgage, rent, car? All of your monthly expenses, we look at that. Then you also want to look at, okay, what are your liabilities? What type of liabilities do you have? And then what type of assets do you have? So, because when you look at all of that, then you can better help someone plan for their financial future. You don't want to just say, oh, Toya, you should just get this, and not know the overall picture of that person's finances.
So what's the best way to get started with that?
The best way to get started, I would say, is to schedule an appointment with a licensed financial professional, someone that can help you go through that whole process. With our National Financial Literacy Campaign, we actually offer that service complimentary, so there's no charge for it. And then once you go through that process, we give you a recommendation as to what's best for you, what's suitable, and what's most affordable for you to get started.
Okay. I like the complimentary because many people can't afford a professional.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And you're nationwide?
Yes, nationwide. We have offices. We have over 600 offices across the U.S. and Canada. So I'm actually licensed, of course, in Illinois, but I'm also licensed in Oklahoma, Texas, Georgia, North Carolina. But I do have colleagues in other states that I'm not licensed in that can help someone.
So if someone wanted to start on their own, what would you recommend that they do?
Start on their own how?
Just with a savings plan.
With a savings plan, I would say first of all start that 1 hour, and if you're making $20 an hour, but you feel like, oh, I can't do that, start with something, $5. Just put that aside somewhere in an account so that you can start to at least save, because we've already been through a pandemic, right? COVID.
Right.
It was unexpected. A lot of people were not prepared. So put something to the side for emergencies.
What about the retirees, the people that are not employed?
The retirees,
But they still need to save. Or they still need to have
right.
some
Like I said,
cushion.
it's never too late to start, but start somewhere. Again, get with someone who can help you plan that out, because especially with the retirees, it's not something that you can actually do on your own. You need some guidance. You need a coach. We have a coach for everything else, right?
This is true.
Why not have a financial coach?
Okay. Nisi, you've given us a lot of great information. So how can people get in touch with you? How can they reach you?
I actually can be reached by phone at 773-675-9343, or by email at SYF as in Frank, P Cotton, COTTON @gmail.com.
Thank you, Nisi, for all of your work. I really appreciate your thoughts. We've learned a lot. Up next, we're going into the segment on Social Security advocacy, where we will be shedding light on the importance of Social Security as an earned benefit for seniors. Thank you, and I'll see you in a moment. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Toya Hemingway, and this is Financial Planning, a post-holiday reboot sponsored by AARP Chicago. So, Kim, how did you get into this business?
My mom, she tricked me into this business, and it was the best trick ever.
Excellent.
So she was a financial planner at Waddell & Reed for 40 years, and we worked together hand in hand. And so now she's retired, and I'm carrying on the business, carrying it on for her.
Okay. What are some of the biggest obstacles you see to financial planning for individuals?
People to get started.
Oh, okay.
It can be a very scary thing to get started, but that's very important to do so, and start early. I would suggest if you have a job in your 20s, start planning now, and it can be with small money, because small money makes big money eventually.
Do you find that younger people are more reluctant to save?
I find that. I'm a mother of 3. I have a 25-year-old, a 19-year-old, and a 23-year-old, and just trying to get them to save sometimes is just like World War III. But they do listen, and I always win when it comes to my boys. So I meet them where they are, and I've started different accounts for them. Small things like a checking and savings. And then also some of my sons, they just have a little safe box that I bought from Amazon, and I just ask that they just put their little $5, $10 or whatever it is in the little box, lock it, they keep the key, I just keep the box to make sure they're not going in the box.
That's a very good idea. I remember that age, and I personally did not believe in saving, but I came around. So I needed someone like you in my life.
Well, we're together now, we cousins.
There we go. Okay. So what should AARP members do that are concerned about Social Security?
Well, it should be a huge concern, because the deficit that people will have if they don't plan properly, they should definitely make sure that they're on top of it. So as a member, we can do several things. First of all, go to aarp.org and get educated. We have all kind, and I say we because I am a member.
Yay.
And so there is several different things that you can do on the website. There's a Social Security tab that you can click on. And then it has different online meetings that you can attend or either in-person meetings. I had the pleasure of doing one of the in-person meetings in October on Social Security, and we had a really good time. So as a member, not only can you get educated, get involved. There's over 50 million AARP members across the nation, and multi-million of them in the Chicagoland area. But 2.6 million members wrote letters to Congress to make a change in Social Security, and AARP is a committed advocate on Social Security, and that's because its members are committed to making sure that Social Security is doing what it's supposed to do.
Absolutely, and I love your enthusiasm on the topic. So it's been stated many times there's a potential shortfall. You mentioned it just a moment ago. Go into a little bit more detail about that and how people can prepare for it.
The shortfall is, they're thinking that it was going to be 2034, but recent changes to the law says that it's about 2041 that this shortfall will take place. And it's supposed to be about 22% that the shortfall will equate to. So in numbers, if you were getting a $1,000 check, then you'll probably get about $780 instead of that $1,000. Now we need to think about how are we going to fill that void? Because based on current law right now, there is going to be a shortfall. And we still want to shop well and live well and travel well. So that means we have to have assets doing well to fill in the gap. So filling it at 22%, and then also if you weren't necessarily going to just live on your Social Security check alone, then that means that you have to have assets working to make sure that it can take care of your entire retirement lifestyle.
You mentioned some of the things that AARP is doing to help. The letters, the writing the congressmen, and individuals participating. How would you encourage them to continue that?
They can get mobilized. I personally went on the site and got mobilized. What that means is you get text messages on your telephone to tell you exactly what's going on, and you can just keep your fingers on the pulse on what's going on. And then also there are just different events that we have locally that they can attend. And then also some of the things aren't necessarily just about Social Security. Sometimes the AARP team likes to have a little fun. So I do get emails.
True.
Yeah, I get emails about some fun stuff. But we get emails, I think weekly, sometimes monthly, and then things in the mail too to educate us. So just as a member, stay involved.
Absolutely.
Stay educated, and then also continue to talk to a financial professional, because there's so many things that are happening right now. We have to take into consideration inflation and cost of living, and then also now the changes with Social Security. This is something big. Trying to fill a 22% gap,
That's huge.
That's huge.
That's huge, yes.
That's huge. So working with a financial professional would definitely make it a little bit easier on all members of AARP.
Okay, there are so many things I want to talk to you about, but in the interest of time, I'm going to ask you a couple of other questions about families and how they can use their Social Security benefits. I know there's always this discussion about taking it early, taking it late. How do you weigh in on that topic?
I say look at your budget first.
Okay.
Because the things that you like to do may cost a certain amount of money. The things I like to do may cost a certain amount of money. So you really have to really get clear on your lifestyle currently, and then also what your retirement lifestyle will look like. Will you travel more? Will you live in Chicago, or will you move south to Florida? So once you get clear on what your retirement lifestyle will be, what your budget really is, how much does it cost to be you every month, then go on the SSA.gov website and get an estimate on what your Social Security benefits may look like at age 62, age 65, and then at full Social Security benefit age. Then after you do your homework and you've left no stone unturned, then determine what's best for you. Is it best for you to take your benefits at 62 or at 65? Now, if you're still working, then you have to definitely make sure that you consider taxes on your Social Security benefit. Because if you're still working and you file as an individual, then if you make $25,000 or more, then your Social Security benefits will be taxed. But if you have a spouse and you file jointly and you make over $32,000, then you're going to be taxed as well. Right. So you really have to do your homework. It's not a quick fix. I've heard the conversation so much when people just say, well, I turned 62, it's time for me to get my benefits. But just because you turn 62 does not mean that that is the right time.
Right. And I know we're almost out of time, but really quickly, if they take that benefit early, how does that affect their
You know what? You know what you're doing today. You know what you're doing today. When you take your benefit early, you cost yourself lots of money. People don't take that into consideration either. And that's money that you cost yourself that you'll never get back. It's like giving your child $100 and expecting for the child to pay you back. So yes, you can cost yourself a lot of money and cause yourself financial harm. So you have to read. And then AARP has some great events that are taking place online and in person that cover those types of things.
Okay, this has been a great conversation. I wish we could go on longer. Unfortunately, we can't. So thank you, Kim. Now tell folks how they can reach you.
Kimberly Thomas on LinkedIn, or either Kimco International on LinkedIn or Facebook, or either call 312-792-4216, 312-792-4216, or my email kim@kimcointernational.com.
Thanks, Kim. I really learned a lot. I really appreciate all your comments and suggestions. And we're going to do some closing thoughts next and provide you with some resources. Thank you, everyone. Wasn't that great?
It was fantastic.
A lot of good conversation today.
It really was.
Yeah.
How wonderful was it that we were able to bring about financial experts to provide and deliver just great information for our community and our members.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We talked about tax strategies. We talked about goal setting,
Great.
how to get out of the holidays with your budget intact,
Yeah,
and
right.
how to prepare for the holidays so that you don't go so deeply in debt.
Right.
Really great conversations.
Sure.
Clive and Kim and Nisi and you.
Right.
So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, this was great. I thank you so much for being the interviewer for this event. And we also want to make sure that we provide resources for our community, right? So you can visit aarp.org, aarp.org/Chicago. And then also there are tools that are found on our websites, right? And so what we want to make sure is that our community is empowered, that they have resources, and then also to take a pledge. So there is a call of action. There will be a QR code on your screen, and we're asking you to scan that so you can join our fight with securing Social Security for yourself and other generations that will come after. And so what a wonderful production that we've had. And I hope that we will continue to have these conversations so that people will be more inspired and empowered to be very mindful about their financial presence today and for tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not just for post-holiday and Social Security, but some the other aspects of their financial
Right.
health.
Yeah, it's so interesting. The information we learned today is that you can start today.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
You know,
yes.
even if you feel like you're behind or delayed,
Yes.
you can start today. So we welcome continued conversations with our community and then to host these types of events.
One of my favorite things that someone said was, actually it was Clive, talking about using, starting small, using whatever tools you have available to
Right.
build towards that emergency fund or that nest egg that you're trying to get to. So
Right.
I really like that. Sometimes people get discouraged, and this helps them get past that.
Yeah. And also, one of the things that came up in conversation, I think each one of our panelists, our guests, they talked about how family was influential and how they started working with community. And there was a passion, but it was also passed down like generations, their
Absolutely,
parents or
yes.
what have you. So we realized that we too can be influential within, by starting small within our families, right? So you start there and you can build out, right? So that was one of the things that was very obvious to me, that community starts and education starts at home.
The good news is that all of us can do this.
Yes.
No matter where you are,
Sure.
you can do this, and that experiences count, and that it's achievable.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I just want to highlight again the people who just worked with us on this engagement, right? So from Kimberly Thomas to Nisi Cotton and Clyde Finn, as well as yourself. Thank you, Toya Hemingway. This was well organized and put together for our community members.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Please visit aarp.org, aarp.org/Chicago, and then also one of the tools that will be found on our website, moneymap.aarp.org. And then also we want to empower you and ask you to join us in the fight for Social Security by scanning the QR code that will be found on your screen. Thank you.